Welcome to another segment of Steal Our Winners. And today we have one of the most knowledgeable guys I know when it comes to basically all things media buying. His name is Maor Benjamin, and he's not only awesome at all things related to Google, Facebook, TikTok, everything as far as driving traffic, but he always is on the cutting edge. Like, he comes up with strategies and tactics way before anyone else, and then they become industry standards months, sometimes years afterwards. So this is his third Steal Our Winners episode, and I'm just super excited to find out what is new. I am sure that whatever he's going to share is something that I've never heard before, as I'm sure it will be something that you've never heard before. So welcome, Maor. Just thank you for being here. And thank you.
Well, it feels like home. Yeah, I first of all, it's always nice to hear your amazing intros. They're always like custom made, and you can feel that they're coming from a deep place inside. You probably don't remember, but I remember the first time I saw you. This was the shirt that I was wearing. So this specific one who says support the losers, yeah, which is supposed to be a joke. Yeah. So I mean, I decided it's going to be a symbolic thing, right? Wearing it for my third SOW. So I know that I always say it, but this time I custom made something specifically for this episode.
Okay, cool.
I have a bunch of topics, stuff that I haven't talked about. And these are things that not only super cutting edge when it comes to both lead gen and ecom, but also things that are currently working on my campaigns and have been a game changer. They should work for any campaign. They work internally. When I try driving traffic for my brands and for affiliate offers inside of Israel and in the States. So it's a game changer, and I honestly just want to dive in, if that's okay with you.
Totally okay with me.
Okay, so the first thing that has been a game changer is using chatbots for lead gen. So right now, I feel like in general, the two things that have been a game changer for lead gen have been related to chats. So the first one would be many chatbots. Specifically, that's the app that I use. That's the software that I use. And the second one is WhatsApp campaigns, which is something that's new, that opened up within Facebook. And just like everything new, there is like a few early adopters. The algorithm and the way that they've built it is not completely there yet. And that sometimes is a bad thing because it doesn't work. And sometimes it's very good because it's underpriced by a lot. And you get like at least a few months to really squeeze it and take advantage of the lower pricing. So with chatbots and everything is just based on the fact that it's, we talked about the second before we started the recording, you said, you know what, I don't think like the young people. And so the young people, 2022, and that's where I figured it out when I was listening to a couple of calls and talking to my own call center from my fitness center, and they said, you know what, people don't like being called right now. People don't like being called. When I talk to even girls that I meet online on Tinder, they want to text. Everyone wants to text. No one has the time to, clear the time for a call. They like to text multiple people in the same time. And also for some reason, people are reluctant, on just giving out their number. I don't know why. It's a privacy thing and maybe spam issues. So the first thing is many chatbots. It gets not just a higher conversion rate, but also a higher lead quality, which is a game changer. It levels up the higher pricing. Everyone says, oh, the CPMs, the CPC, iOS tracking, blah, blah, blah. We've all talked about these topics over and over again. Everyone gets it. Using chatbots right now to build like even the simplest flow that asks a user, are you interested in that service, product, project, whatever? Yes or no. And then, give me your phone number. What's your name? When is a good time to call you? That's the first thing. if you want to take it a step forward, that would be actually putting someone on the campaigns and on the chatbots, and having someone, you know, recognize when a user is kind of doesn't understand that he's talking to a bot. Maybe it's an older person, you know, they don't really get the flow. They step out of the loop, out of the flow. Maybe the chatbot doesn't really know how to handle them. So that's the first part. The second part, or the second tool that has been a game changer for some of my campaigns, was using WhatsApp campaigns. So when you launch a campaign, if you have a new ad account on Facebook, you'll have the option to use WhatsApp campaigns. So there are two types of, yeah.
But just back to the chatbots, like, so I don't know if you're finished talking about that, because if you are, I just want to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Like, are you finished talking about that?
I mean, I can talk about it for a long time. It's kind of like connected, but you can ask me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, so yeah, how does using it versus getting people into the chat, right? Like, what are you doing to get people like into it? Or are you are you initiating? And yeah, like, how does it actually begin?
So there is a couple of ways on how to do it. So essentially, one of the ways would be sending the user into a landing page, and instead of a form, having kind of like an iframe where the user interacts with the bot. So instead of having the bot as something that goes, you know, on the lower part of the screen, below the header, below the footer, where you have to scroll down, or where you have to maybe fall out of the form, or just you know, as an exit intent kind of thing, the chatbot is the main thing. So
you're getting people to like a landing page where it's like a chat.
That's one way to do it. The second way would be internally within Facebook, for example. So if a user clicks on the ad specifically, they would jump directly into in that case, if we're using the Facebook Messenger, then it's going to open up a Facebook Messenger new chat, and then there's going to be like an initial message that the user sends in order to activate the bot. And this is like the first thing. The funnel that I'm currently using is much more complex, because I wanted to see how I can utilize ManyChat for e-com to actually qualify users into purchasing something. So I know that when you send a user through a conventional ad to a quiz, and it goes through like an engaging funnel where he's being either educated on the product, or just you know, being qualified into a better potential customer, I know that this works. And this is still pricey, and this is still sending someone into a third-party website. What I wanted to do is take that long quiz, engaging quiz that qualifies and educates the user, and put it inside a ManyChat campaign. And this works amazing. So half of my campaigns that I tested initially were the whole flow was inside. So I wanted to, of course, get the phone number. I wanted to get the email. I wanted the user to answer as many questions as possible. And then at the end, I would send them directly to the checkout page or something like that. So I skipped the whole advertorial. Everything happened within the chatbot. The other thing was pretty quick in terms of, okay, let me get your phone number, let me get your email. So my opt-in rate was a lot higher. I made sure that everything is compliant, which is something I'm doing through Active Prospect, which is where you can send the leads and then you get a certificate. So the user is actually qualified and TCPA compliant to send on SMSs and emails and stuff like that. And then I've sent the user into an engaging funnel, like a quiz or something like that. So when a user gets into that quiz, it doesn't feel like he clicked on an ad. It doesn't feel as if he was pushed or being sold to and stuff like that. He felt like there was a conversation, and you know, it's much more customized. So I actually A/B tested it. So I launched 2 campaigns. I used my tracker that I use for affiliate offers, and I wanted to see like the conversion rate. And the conversion rate, and I'm talking about, you know, a large number of sales, not like 2 or 10 or something like that. I really tested it. So you can see a significant increase, up to 100% increase in conversion rate. That was a game changer just by customizing. You know, that person felt like, all right, so first of all, the chatbot felt, he knew if it was what was the gender of that person. So if it was a male or a female, and then the name. And what I did was that specific campaign was a pet supplement. Okay. So what I did was, okay, what's the name of your dog? It didn't have to do with anything with the product itself. So for example, let's say, what?
I said, right.
All right, so the name of the dog, for example, was Rocky, let's say. So was it a male or a female? And then they chose like a male. And then when the user was sent into the checkout page, the image on the product image within the checkout page was customized towards that specific name. So it was actually a bag of dog food which had the dog's name. So everything was more customized, and you know, it was based on that. So that's a very good way and creative way that I made up. Like I haven't seen it anywhere else, which allows you to really customize. You know, when people buy these Tumi bags or Louis Vuitton bags or wallets, they get their initials or their name. And this is a big thing. People like to brag about it. They upload it into the social networks and stuff. So just imagine having to go through that experience, but online. You know, that's your dog's, you know, food. And if you want to take it to another level, you can also ask them, okay, what kind of food does he like? Is it like a duck, a chicken? What are you buying right now? What's the age of the dog? And then you can actually send them into a page where everything is being you know, API'd and imported into that page. So it feels like that specific dog food has been customized for that specific dog. And you can actually customize it if you have, you know, different types of products and food and stuff like that. So that's such a large increase, because it's almost like, you know, walking into a store and having someone help you with choosing the right product.
Got it. Yeah. So it's interesting.
That's a game changer.
We have this quiz and that's working well for us, but this is actually taking the whole quiz, putting it in Messenger, and just having it interact with your system to kind of populate. It's an interesting, yeah, I like that.
It's not just about that. Yes, technically, yes, you are putting the quiz into the Messenger, and you probably will get a lower CPC and a higher conversion rate and a lower CPL if we're talking about the metrics and the technicality of things. But I'm also talking about how to use those parameters that the user is answering, those answers, into implementing, you know, the next step, the next stage. So it doesn't feel completely disconnected, because when a user gets out from the Messenger experience, clicks on the link to buy, and he sees this generic, you know, product that doesn't have to do anything with specifically. So you need to be creative on how you can, you know, make sure that that product, or, you know, has specific questions that makes it a customizable and custom experience for the user. But that's a game changer, because when you just send the user, the experience is not complete. Yes, you're probably going to get a higher conversion rate, but it's not going to be as high when the user actually feels like this bag of, you know, dog food was customized towards the specific age, gender, type of dog, and what the dog likes to eat right now.
Makes sense.
So that has been a game changer. When we first approached that campaign was breaking even on the front end on the better days, and losing on the front end on like the worst days. Now it's constantly profitable by a lot. Like the margin is way higher. We also changed and optimized the upsells and downsells, but yeah, that's a different thing. The next thing that is working and is very smart right now, because it actually connects, because it's a different Meta company and product. They purchased WhatsApp a few years ago, and now you can actually optimize WhatsApp campaigns based on two things. One is just clicks on ads. So you don't have to qualify for a WhatsApp business number. You don't have to do anything specifically. If you run a campaign that's optimized for clicks, you can just run it. You get like a WhatsApp number, a person would start, you can follow up with like a third-party tool or a person that actually is being used as the call center representative, only that the user doesn't, the guy, your guy from the call center doesn't have to call the guy, he just texts them. And when you do open up a WhatsApp business number, then you can level up your game and optimize towards conversations. So Facebook would actually be connected to WhatsApp business and then recognize when a conversation has actually been started and optimize, you know, towards that. So that's a much deeper level of optimization where Facebook can actually distinguish between someone who is just clicked on an ad because he was curious on what's going on the other side, than a user who is actually engaging with your sales representative, and then it changes the whole optimization and the algorithm. So
so is that, like, just to be clear, so instead of sending people to Messenger from like a Facebook ad or something
you
like
send
that,
them into WhatsApp.
sending them into WhatsApp?
Yeah, so even if they use desktop, it would open up a desktop like page looking like a WhatsApp, and they would start like engaging with the user. So that's one thing. There are two things that I want to share that have been just taking my learning curve and helping other people. The first one is that when it comes to WhatsApp campaigns, because it's so new, because not many people are using it, I would suggest people would open up two separate campaigns, one optimized towards clicks, and the other one is optimized towards conversions, which means conversations, essentially in this specific campaign. The reason for that is that I have not seen a specific type of campaign that is working constantly. It really changed between campaigns. The other big tip would be keeping that campaign going for 2 or 3 days, even if it's not converting. These types of campaigns take a bit more time to stabilize and convert. And again, I believe it's because they're just new and the conversion event isn't as popular as the purchase event within Facebook. So it's just...
Just say that again. So you're setting up two separate campaigns.
Yeah.
One for the optimization is for the click to
Correct.
WhatsApp, and then the other would be
conversations that started.
Okay. And that
which you need a WhatsApp business number that's verified in order to run. If you don't have it and it's not connected to your business manager, you're not going to be able to actually optimize towards that.
Got it. And then it takes a couple days for the optimization to kind of...
Sometimes it would take, yeah. So you need patience. I would wait for 2 or 3 days in order for that campaign to kind of like what I call warm up into actually converting. I've seen it happen over and over again with these campaigns. I expect it to change in the next upcoming months, just because Facebook would probably add more updates and changes into the algorithm, and it's brand new. But it is like a big opportunity right now. It's an uncharted territory. Most people don't use that. It works pretty good. So if you have a third-party tool that is able to build a flow, a chat flow for WhatsApp, that could also be just like ManyChat, you know, that could be implemented into the WhatsApp flow, and that could work as well. And also, if you're in a country like Israel where everyone's using WhatsApp and you know that WhatsApp is a big app, then definitely use that, because people feel more, you know, free to engage on that. And the other thing, and that actually brings me to the next topic that I wanted to talk about, is essentially, and I know that it's like a big headline, is how to manipulate the Facebook algorithm when it comes to how targeting works within Facebook. So, and this goes back to whether I should optimize on conversions and why is it going to take 2 or 3 days for the campaign to actually warm up. So the way that Facebook finds very targeted people is by doing one of the two things. One is by analyzing the text and image on your ad and targeting people inside your targeted audience. So it's using the targeted audience you've set in order to find people who are into that specific product or service that is written or being shown in the image or video inside your ad. So it's either reading the text that you actually write, or analyzing the picture, or actually using whatever people are saying inside the video to analyze the text, and then it's just like the same as if you would write it inside the ad. So specifically, what Facebook does is it targets people who already clicked on ads that look like yours. And this is why when you click on a real estate ad, for example, you're going to get a lot more of the same type of ads in the near future. So as an advertiser, when you launch a campaign, you're going to get a lot of people who are going to respond or comment that are tired of seeing the same ad on Facebook. Like, we as advertisers, we know how it is. You launch a campaign, the first 5 comments is, oh my God, this is such a scam. I don't know why Facebook is not taking it down. I can't even see this shit anymore, blah, blah, blah. The second way Facebook targets is by looking at your conversion data and creating essentially a lookalike audience when the system has enough data, or sometimes even when it doesn't. So the algorithm sees who converted by age, by gender, by interests, and just finds more people. So keep in mind that the algorithm had a lot more data points before iOS 14. So it was a combination between the data points that they had and the text that you had inside. So it was much more sophisticated. Now it's just like launching towards that specific audience. So let's say you and me are targeting a specific state that has 1 million people, and our ad specifically says the word loans or mortgage refinance or real estate, buy this house, apartment, whatever. What Facebook would do is not actually target the whole 1 million people that we initially targeted. The first batch is going to be those 10 or 50,000 that already clicked on an ad that has to do with loans, mortgage refinance, blah, blah, blah. This is the audience that we're going to compete with. And this is why a lot of the times when you have a brand or you're like an advertiser, you have a few affiliates, they would run traffic and you would get a high percentage of duplicated leads, because they're essentially all competing on the same small audience. So it could be like when you're running on a low budget, it could be something that's very good because you're using Facebook's essentially like their secret sauce, and you get highly targeted users, high purchase intent, higher conversion rates. But the downside to it is very big, because first of all, you're going to get a lot of duplicated leads if you're running through multiple accounts or have affiliates sending traffic, or even if you are an affiliate, you're going to disqualify a lot of your leads because they are duplicated. B, you're going to have to sell to people who have been likely called to regarding that. So they have the ability to compare because they've left their details. If we're talking about the lead generation campaign, they left their details across multiple brands, multiple service providers that are on the same field. And by the way, this could be a good or bad thing, depends on your service or product and stuff like that, and your pricing and also your sales cycle, how long or short it is. But most importantly, you're going to have a really hard time to scale, since Facebook is likely going to prefer serving the ad twice to that specific person on that similar audience. So for example, if I was talking about that 10,000 people out of that million people that we targeted initially, it's going to just serve the same ad twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to the same audience. It's highly likely not going to step out of that specific, small bubble. So you're competing for a very, very niche, small audience. And there are a couple of things. And by the way, just going back to how it's connected to the WhatsApp campaigns and how to optimize, it's just based a lot on the conversion event. This is why when you launch the same product, same campaign, same creatives, same price points, same domain with 2 different conversions events, one could be purchase, the standard Facebook purchase event, and the other could be lead. Even though you're not actually looking for leads, you're going to get two different audiences because Facebook is highly likely going to serve the ad to someone who already converted for that specific event, which is either lead or purchase. So it's two different audiences. So you can overcome that problem in a few ways. And understanding this is such a big thing because this isn't something that's trending. It's not something that's going to change. That's how Facebook's brain, works. Campaign structures, they change. Creatives, they change. Bidding settings, optimizations, bid cap, automations, they change. This is the way Facebook actually, this is how the brain actually works. This is how it's wired, and it's not likely to change anytime soon. It hasn't really changed up until iOS 14. So you have a couple of ways to really tackle the problem and overcome it, or even use it and manipulate it to your advantage. The first one would be text manipulation, and this is probably the easiest thing to do. You need to try one campaign where you don't write that specific words or headlines that give away what you're selling. So if the Facebook algorithm is going to read into your video, image, and primary text and headline of the ad, and you just say, for example, something like millions of people have already joined, yeah, that could be a very clickbaity example, but you're still not going to let Facebook know right out of the gate, right from the start, that you are selling insurance or a mortgage refinance or a loan. So that's the first way to tackle it. The second way would be through image and video manipulation. So trying a few creatives and keeping in mind that the Facebook algorithm is also reading into the text that is inside the video. So it listens to the video and it knows exactly what the video is saying. So because some people are trying to manipulate through that. The third thing is just what I told you regarding different events. So trying different events, there are two levels to that manipulation or that solution to the problem. The first one, using another standard event. So you have a search, you have purchase, you have lead, you have view product, initiated checkout, whatever, those kinds of stuff. But you can also open up a custom conversion that's based on nothing. And that, a lot of the times, that helps Facebook really step out of that specific small niche narrowed audience and go into the mass population targeted audience, and then find whoever is working and clicking on the ad. And the other thing is using an advertorial that really interests a lot of people. So for example, if you're a lawyer, use a video of someone who's getting sentenced and he's crying. If you are selling car insurance, maybe you want to get like a video of someone's car being, totaled or something like that. You're also going to get a lot of shares and engagement because that's a much more interesting type of content. It's much more viral potentially, but also the algorithm is highly likely going to open you up to new audiences. And the thing is reach, and I know that I've been talking so much, but I'm really excited about those geeky things.
Right.
The thing is that when you really crack it, when you understand how to manipulate it, and you step out of that specific audience in that specific campaign, like for example, you've been running a campaign for a supplement, for loans, for any kind of like evergreen, very conventional type of campaign, you are used to a specific type of like CTR that you're getting, CPL, CPA, your metrics right now. But when you manage to step out of that specific audience, that everyone's been, the saturated market where everyone's trying to get the potential customers, you would see it in the metrics right away. So if you're used to 0.5, 0.7 CTR, you're going to be at 2.7. Massive change, like things are going to happen. Your CPC would likely drop beneath $1 even. So you're going to see a way different type of like result. And also, if we're talking about lead gen or even e-com, the conversion rate to an actual purchase is going to be different. And I've tested it throughout multiple campaigns, mostly lead gen. It's a game changer when you manage to overcome it, because Facebook is desperately trying to make advertising just smart again, you know, and they have done an amazing job. I'm not gonna lie, you know, when iOS 14 came out, everyone felt like advertising is total. It's gone, you know. The conversions weren't firing, maybe 20% of it was firing. Now I don't know who's working there. I don't know what they're doing. They're very skillful people. I don't know what technology they're basing it on, but the conversion modeling is working pretty good. You get 80 to 95% of conversions that actually fired, you know, before iOS. So in terms of tracking, we are there. I can say that we're almost back to where we were. In terms of targeting, we're still missing a lot of data points that we used to have. And this is a really good way, at least for now, to really explore new audiences for new products.
And can you just like, can you either share an example? And I know like that might not be possible for because of clients, but if there's an example you can share, that would be great. Or if not, like, I think this concept is amazing, but I think it's also a little bit complicated for people to understand. So maybe either an example or another way of kind of just breaking it down so that I make sure that the people that are watching really get it.
Yeah. So for example, let's say I'm running a mess-tort litigation campaign that just like people who got
cancer, right? Is that what you're talking about?
For example, let's say the baby powder campaign, that has been something that a lot of at least women have been, you know, Johnson and Johnson, the talcum powder, they knew about the fact that it causes cancer, ovarian cancer, among other types of cancer. And a lot of litigation firms and lawyers are running the campaigns. So we have affiliate networks, affiliates, internal teams, and we have the litigation companies and the lawyers themselves, they're running it. So when it only started, Facebook was exploring because they didn't really recognize the trend. They didn't knew what telecom specifically means in terms of like the product. But when Facebook recognized a trend, they recognized a specific type of product, which is the telecom class action lawsuit. In that specific example, every time someone wrote baby powder, telecom, Johnson and Johnson, Facebook associated that specific ad with a specific audience that has already clicked on either similar things or ads just like that. So when you launch a campaign, if you have like, for example, a pool of 100,000 women who unfortunately got cancer and were interested in some point in that specific campaign, you're going to actually target, even if you target 18 plus United States, you're actually targeting that 100,000 women.
Right.
Doesn't matter if your daily budget is 200, 2,000 or 20,000, you're still going to compete for that specific 100K, 100,000 women initially. Of course, when you get like a very high budget, the frequency is going to be way high, then Facebook is going to, you know, step out of that 100,000. But that's specifically the way that Facebook works, especially if you're using the Facebook lead gen form, and especially if you're optimizing for leads specifically, because that's what everyone's doing. If you want to step out of that 100,000 that already clicked on an ad like that, yeah, I mean, if you're going to run the campaign at a lower budget, 200 to 500 a day, that could be great for you because those 100,000 women might be interested in your product. They might convert. It's going to be harder to sell them because they're already being, you know, approached by other companies that are trying to sell them on that specific product. And also they're less excited about, you know, the idea because they've seen that there is a big ad fatigue within that specific audience. So the idea is that when you want to step out of that 100,000 and go towards like brand new audience, is there going to be a small overlap with that 100,000? Yes, but it's going to be extremely small. How you do that is by a couple of things. First of all, making sure that the text doesn't say those specific words that trigger the algorithm into associating your campaign with the other campaigns and make sure that it targets that specific narrow audience. That's the first thing. The second thing, images, videos, they need to be separated as well. So it needs to be something that really is touching that subject, but not really touching that subject. So for example, let me give you two specific angles. One angle could be saying, oh, did you get ovarian cancer? If you did, it might be the cause of using certain products. Talk to us. So that person, that is a brand new campaign because the user doesn't associate anything specifically with talcum powder. Another way to manipulate it would be the video would have someone use talcum powder on them, and the Facebook algorithm cannot recognize that we're using talcum powder, but the user who sees it, the AI can only go so far. So those are just like examples on that specific campaign on how to target people outside of that.
Yeah, that makes it a lot simpler. I think everyone will understand it now. And awesome, cool. So as it comes, okay, so we got WhatsApp, we got the chatbots, and we got this kind of
Facebook algorithm manipulation
general, so that you can then go specific after, kind of,
as
opposed to specific up front. Back to the chatbots for a second, like I remember this was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. There used to be a company that had like a landing page that was just a chatbot. Like you landed there and it was like, how can I help you? It was like kind of interesting. Are you anything like that, or like back to the chatbots for a second, or this is pretty much just moving interactions that you were trying to get people to take on the website and moving them into the chatbot, so that it's much more the latter than the former, right?
So I mean,
it's not moving
potentially
to the page as much as it is moving the page onto the chat.
Correct. This is what I'm talking about specifically. So it's saving the user from going into the landing page, loading the browser, taking up more time, understanding a new user interface and design, and just getting them inside an app or an interface that they already know. But also it's about really using a couple of things that we didn't have 2 years back. So one is the connection between the messenger or WhatsApp and the profile, the actual profile, the data that we already have. So is it like, if we're talking about genders, zip codes, states, stuff like that, and even names and phones, everything can be at the very least pre-populated. So the user doesn't have to really write it. They can click on it or just click enter, and we have that already inside. Some of the stuff we don't even need the user's request. The second thing that changed when we compare 2 years ago to the chatbots with now is the fact that we can actually use tracking to a much deeper level. So we can use triggers within the conversation, clicks within the conversation to fire back into Facebook, because Facebook is now much more open to server events, which means that you can actually use third-party tools like Zapier in order to fire back into Facebook. So that's a game changer, because if you can't feed the algorithm back who is my targeted audience, who actually converts, then the algorithm can't really learn and help you get more clients.
Makes sense. Cool. All right. So as it relates to those three, all three strategies, anything that we didn't cover, anything I should have asked that I didn't?
I feel like we went pretty deep and also simplified things with the examples.
Got it. So, and are there any campaigns where you're doing all three?
There are actually, First of all, my own fitness center, and I have a couple of clients that we are doing all three. It started off as just a test, and some campaigns, they just connect and you get a good CPL, you get a good conversion rate and a good lead quality, so you just keep it. So yeah.
Mhm.
I don't have a favorite as of right now. I mean, I always try and open up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And if you're a really small advertiser, then it actually is really useful to make sure, like you said, the opposite, that you actually make sure to mention the category,
Yeah,
because
that's
you're gonna just be reaping like the hard work of like other people who scaled. You're going to be able to just get the cream, especially if your
yes.
offer is superior,
Yeah, so I feel
right?
like Facebook is a platform that's really good at a lower budget. It's very meant towards small, medium businesses that don't have a lot of budget. They would definitely be able to get just the cream, as you say.
Very, very cool. Well, this has been
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
I appreciate it. Yep. Love these three strategies, and especially understanding the what you said about like Facebook's algorithm just getting more robust, I guess, and being able to identify sets up opportunities on both sides. And using WhatsApp, like I love getting in front of things because generally, like every direct response kind of medium online, you get there early, you do pay a lot less. And then as more advertisers start using it, you start paying more. And then at some point, Facebook might not even allow direct response advertisers to use it because now brands are using it and they push us away. So,
I feel like if you're, it's almost, with entrepreneurship in general, but digital marketing, it's always that balance between a low barrier and a high barrier. There is like, pros and cons. The low barrier stuff, everyone can run it.
right.
Market gets saturated extremely quickly. I feel like this is a higher barrier because it takes more time to set up. I don't see a lot of affiliates go through, having to qualify for a business WhatsApp number and making sure. So this would work extremely good if you are the advertiser, if you are the business owner. Having said that, if you're an affiliate, you know that there is a big potential with an evergreen market like mortgage refinance, loans, insurance, and setting this setup up is something that you want to do and can do. That's probably going to be really, really good if you are being measured on lead quality, for example. That could be really good if you know that you're going to get compensated for that specific higher lead quality.
Got it. Well, this has been awesome, man. So super
Yeah,
appreciate you and look forward to talking to you again real soon. And thanks for doing this.
Rich, I love you, and this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being in my life, dude. I love you, bro.
Shalom.